This is TJ with Tech Made Easy. Welcome to the channel. My channel is all about making things affordable, practical, and easy. And what we're going to do today is we are going to clone two drives. We're going to take this SSD that's 250 gigs, and we're going to clone it to this 2 terabyte Nvme drive. There's many ways to do this. You can do it through the command line. You can buy software to do it, or you can get free software. And I like things to just be point and click, and it's done. And so that's what we're going to do today. Is we're going to use a program called Rescuezilla. And in fact, just a week ago, my wife was talking to a client that she does a little bit of work for, and I happened to be in the room, and one of the employees does a lot of Zooms, and she's complaining about how slow her computer was, that she has to close everything down just to do a Zoom. And so I said, well, we can get you into a system for less than $200. It's going to give you 12 cores, 24 threads, 50 gigs of RAM for less than, and a terabyte NVMe. And so I went ahead and cloned her hard drive because she's going to use that other computer for a backup in case something happens. And not only that, because this is kind of a mission critical computer, they didn't want to just replace it and not have anything in case something went wrong. So, but now she's using it, it's up and running, cloned her hard drive, she's got the other one that's backup, works great. And now I have a neighbor kid, he wants me to do a gaming system for him. And so I'm going to take this same hard drive, or SSD, and I'm going to clone it on a 1 terabyte NVMe for him, and we're off and running. So let's go ahead and see how to do that, see how easy it is. Now, this is the whole thing about cloning though. Whenever you're using cloning software, it copies the partitions, whatever size they are. So if you're using something that's 250 gigs, your clone, when you look at it on your computer, is going to look 250 gigs. But we can take care of that, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Super easy. Let's get going. So I have to apologize. Sometimes in the video I keep on saying CloneZilla. That's because CloneZilla is cloning software, but it's more of a text-based menu system, not a GUI. Where Rescuezilla is a GUI cloning system, and very, very easy to use, as you will see. So sorry about the confusion. So this is the Windows drive that we're going to go ahead and copy. This is a fresh install of Windows 10 that I usually use, that I just make an image of if I'm helping someone or need to get into a computer maybe that doesn't have an operating system on it. I just want to show you that there's a couple of apps on here. I've got Google Chrome on here, and then I've got I'll just play this video. I turn the sound down, but so let's go, and then let's just go ahead and look here and on our drive here. So as you can see, it's a 237, it's really 250 gig, but they always show it you on your hard drive space, SSD. So let's go ahead and let's do a carbon copy and get that on our NVMe, and let's get back onto the desktop. So really quick, what we need to do is we need to make a bootable USB drive for Rescuezilla. And what we're going to do that with, we're going to do that with Rufus. If you already have something that can do that, then that's fine. And we're right here at the download page for Rufus. And what you want to do is you want to just download Rufus 4.4p. That's a portable version, doesn't install, it's just a regular exe. I've already downloaded, it's on my desktop right here. And then on top of that, we need to download Rescuezilla, and right down here where it talks about download, you just click on that and download. And that's all you need. Let's go ahead and launch Rufus. And what we're going to do here is it already sees my Samsung flash drive, so we're just going to go ahead and choose our. Now I put my ISOs in an ISO folder, so here's my Rescuezilla, and that's all there is to it. We just start it, just hit everything that's recommended. And then it'll only take a minute. Now this is going to copy maybe a little faster than yours. This is a fast USB drive. But we'll just go ahead and pause this for a minute. Okay, once that's done, this whole thing's just going to say ready. And we're done. So we just close this, and then let's go ahead and clone our drive. Okay, so here's my SSD that has Windows 10 on it. Here is my NVMe, whether you're using Windows 10 or Windows 11, it doesn't matter. Now, you could keep your drive in your computer if it's in there. I just happen to, this is actually a rescue disk of mine, basically, that I use. And but we've got this 2 terabyte NVMe that we're going to put on here. Now, once we copy this operating system over here, or create that carbon copy image, we have to go into Windows and we have to expand the drive, and that'll make more sense when we're in there. If you know what I'm talking about, then you understand. But you'll understand better once we get into Windows. So then what we're going to do here to make this easy, and I'll have these in the links below. Again, if you just keep this in your computer, you won't have to do this, but I'm going to do this through the USB. So I'm just going to put this USB adapter on here. It allows me to run an SSD through the USB ports. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this portable NVMe case, and I'm going to put this in here. If you want, you can install your NVMe on in your system, but this is the whole thing. You may be going from you already have an NVMe in your system, and you can't take it out of your system to upgrade, because you need to make an image copy of that. So what you can do, these cases, I think this case was like 15 bucks. I'll have it in the description. And so then what we can do here is we can then run this through our USB now. It comes with the cables and everything. This is our Rescuezilla thumb drive. So let's go ahead, stick these in the computer, run Rescuezilla. Let me show you how easy it is to upgrade your existing hardware to a new one without installing Windows, where you keep all of your apps, your games, everything. Okay, first of all, I want to make some clarifications here. You don't have to do this through your USB ports. I'm just doing it out of convenience. You can leave your hard drive. In fact, when I carbon copied that assistance hard drive, I actually left the hard drive in the system, but I did use this adapter and put the NVMe in it through the USB. But you could install another NVMe, and the only reason why I'm doing this is just for convenience for me, but also to show you that is an option for you as well. And the thing is you may have an NVMe in your system, but when you bought them, they were really expensive. Now they're less expensive, and you want to upgrade to a larger one. This is a great way to do that without having to reinstall Windows, is to do an image copy of your operating system. But I want to talk about, and it does hard drives as well, does Mac OS, does Linux, FreeBSD. It's not just Windows. That's what's great about using Rescuezilla. So really quick, I have these 2 USBs here and this one here for a reason. I have an upcoming video that I'm going to show how to run Windows off of a USB drive, whether it's one of these or this or this. I don't know if I'd run Windows off a regular USB drive. I believed I tried it off of this one and it crashed on me, and there is a reason why, but there's also a caveat. When you run the software that creates the USB drive, it skips a lot of the install stuff when you install the operating system. And so if you do it that way on, say, something like this or an NVMe, once it's done, you stick it in your system and you don't have to go through all that hassle of installing Windows. It's actually really awesome. So subscribe, because I have that video coming up. But I put these ones out here because these are actually high performance USBs right here. These read at 200 megabytes, but they write about 70 megabytes. This reads at 400 and writes about 300. But anyway, that's it for a future video. Just wanted to clarify a few things here. And like I'd mentioned before, that you're going to have to check your motherboard's manufacturer, which function keys allow you to boot from a USB at startup, or you can change that in your settings in your BIOS. Okay, here I am at my motherboard's boot menu, and the Samsung is the one that I flashed this on, so that's what I'm going to choose here. Again, that'll depend on what USB you choose to do, and it'll also depend on how you get into your boot menu. It will depend on your motherboard manufacturer. But HP, and when you get here, if you don't choose a language, it'll automatically start in English. It'll start this automatically if you don't choose that.
if you want to hit your function key to get into your boot menu, or if you just want to set your motherboard to boot off of a USB drive first. Okay, so once CloneZilla loads up, you're going to get this interface right here.
Okay, so now that Rescuezilla is booted up, I went ahead and plugged in these to the USB port, and let's clone our drive.
But this is actually an app that's on CloneZilla. CloneZilla is a very lightweight Linux app, and so it has a few tools in here. It's got a browser, it's got a file manager, and so it's also got what's called gparted. If you're a Linux person and know Linux commands, you can go to the terminal and do all kinds of stuff. But gparted is just a way to format, delete partitions, create partitions, and like this drive right here, that's our USB that we booted off of, and then this drive right here, it's a new drive, so there's nothing on it. And then our drive, our Windows drive, is this one here, and you can see all these partitions that Windows creates when Windows is installed. So it's just going to create and do a carbon copy of those. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Again, this is the interface you get. Two things you can do here. You can back up your entire hard drive. So if some reasons it fails, you can go ahead and maybe your hard drive goes bad or whatever. You can restore all your desktop and all your apps and everything through this backup here. But what we are more interested in is cloning. So we want to clone our Windows drive, and we want to give it a bigger drive. And this is the drive also that I'm going to put in the computer for my neighbor. So we'll go ahead and hit clone here, and so you just hit next, and then it's going to go gather your drive information. Now, if you're on a computer that has multiple hard drives, you've got to be careful that you're not cloning to a hard drive that you don't want to clone to. Now in this case, the only drives I have in here is my USB drive, which is a Samsung flash drive. This is the target drive, my 2 terabyte drive. Now under normal circumstances, if this was in your computer, it would tell me what hard drive that is. But because I'm using USB, it's just telling me what the USB so this description here is just the USB adapter. So, but I know this is a 2 terabyte drive, even though it's 1.9 terabytes. And then this is the drive that Windows is on, and you can see all this stuff that has Windows on it. So I'm just going to choose that as my source. Then I'm going to choose my destination, which is this one here, and we're just going to hit next. It's just going to show you, you can choose whether you want to copy partition. Now in an operating system we want to copy everything, but maybe you might want to just copy a drive and it has different partitions on it, and you can choose which partitions you want to copy. So we're going to hit next here, and it's just showing you it's going to copy and make an exact duplicate. Now this right here, rescue, ignore files, inconsistencies, and bad sector codes. I would not click on this to ignore this, and I'll tell you why. We're going to get this started. Now it's just warning you that your destination drive everything's going to be wiped out. So we'll hit yes. Now what it's going to do is just going to go ahead and create the partitions that it needs to copy all the Windows stuff over. But why it's doing this, and this takes a little while, but while it's doing it, I want to talk about why I said don't click that one where ignore. I've been using a disk for a long time. In fact, a long time ago, it had bad sectors on it. It was 120 gig SSD. But I've had Windows on for a long time as just kind of a rescue disk, and one that if I was going to install Windows, I would just do an image copy of it. Well, it must have finally bit the dust, because when I first started doing this video, I noticed it was coming up with some errors. It still created the partitions, but Windows wouldn't work. And so you shouldn't see any errors when you're doing this, just like we're seeing on the screen. When I saw those errors, I'm going, what is going on? And it was my disk had just, it was, that 120 gig disk was, I mean, it's old. And I was just using it as a spare, and so I wasn't really saving data on it or anything like that. Now the other thing I want to talk to you really quick about, so my wife's assistant, when I did a clone of her drive, and her drive, and we were swapping computers. So she's going from a Dell small form factor to HP Z440. I was giving her 50 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte drive. And the reason why is because she does Zoom, and I'd mentioned this, that she does Zoom, and she had to close everything down to do her Zoom because she just couldn't. Her computer was only 2 cores, 4 threads. That was it, and so, but her drive had over 300 gigabytes, almost 400 gigabytes of data on it. So it took a long time. It probably took 4 or 5 hours. Just so you know, the more data you have, the longer this is going to take. And at this point, we're going to pause the video. Then we're going to go ahead and put the NVMe in the computer and boot from it. Okay, so once it's done, it'll just give you this. It'll say successful. It took a little over 6 minutes, and you just hit next. And now we're going to go ahead and put this in the computer and boot up. Okay, so now we are on our desktop. We're in our computer that has the NVMe drive on it. So you'll notice here that Google Chrome is here, and we've got our video, and it'll play. I've got the sound muted, so it's not going to play the sound. So, but now when we take a look at our drive, what we're going to notice is that, whoa, wait a minute, it's still the same drive. That's because it copies exactly, and whatever the partition was that Windows was on, it partitions it. So, but we do have more drive space because we have 2 terabytes. So now what we're going to have to do is we need to go into our tool, in Windows tool that allows us to create partitions and extend them. So we're just going to take PAR, and it'll have create format hard disk partitions. So now this is what happens sometimes when you, and I don't know why, when I did this for my wife's assistant, this recovery wasn't here, it was in the front of the C drive. So in order so we have all of this freed up, unallocated and formatted space here as part of our 2 terabyte drive. And in order to add it to this, normally, or if we right mouse click on this, it'll say extend volume, but see how it's grayed out? Because any unallocated space, in order to extend it, needs to be right next to the C drive. And so if you do this and it's right next to it, then you'll be able to hit extend here. And when I extend a drive, I always leave a little bit at the end. I don't extend the whole thing, but that's up to you. But so now, how do we take care of this? There is a way to go to the command prompt and do this, but most people, there's a lot easier way to do that through the GUI. Okay, so we're going to use this AOMEI Partition Assistant to combine those drives. Now, AOMEI can also clone drives, but you have to pay for that. That's why we're using CloneZilla. And then we're using AOMEI's Partition Combiner that is free, that's part of AOMEI to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. They have paid levels of this program, but they have a free one as well. And when you first launch it, it'll ask you, do you want to pay for any of those? You just hit no. And then there's a lot that you can do in here for free, like merge this drive. Okay, so right here is that free space, but it's next to this recovery partition. So let's click on our C drive, right mouse click on it, and we need to go to advanced because we need to say merge partition. And so now we click this, and we're just going to say okay. So now it has merged this, so now we have to go ahead and apply it. And so we just apply it right here. So this may take some time to do. We're going to hit this. We're just going to hit OK. It may have to reboot during this process. Okay, it's going to go into this Partition Assistant. And then it's going to go ahead and merge those. after it reboots. Then it's going to want you to restart it again. So once it goes through that process, it'll reboot into Windows, and now we go here to our drive. We should see we've got full access to that 2 terabyte drive. Now what I want to show really quick, we're going to go back into this because it depends. I don't know why it does this. Sometimes this recovery partition is in the front, and so then your extra space is right next to the C drive. But let's just go ahead and shrink this for a minute. I'm not gonna shrink very much of this. Say 1,000. Let's do 10,000. So we're gonna shrink this, and now we have this unallocated. So if you after you boot into your Windows and this is what you see in the unallocated spaces right here, then that's when you can go ahead and extend the drive. And that's all there is to it. Just as a reminder, when I did a clone of my wife's assistant, the unformatted partition was right next to the C drive, so I didn't have to worry about this. So it all depends. I don't know why it depends. I use the same program. It was Windows 10, but that's the way that's how you take care of that. Either way works. What's great is that this is free. It's so easy to do. You just do it, it reboots, and it's ready. So this is TG with Tech Made Easy. I hope that was simple enough to upgrade your drives to a bigger drive, or go from a hard drive to a SSD to an Nvme, whatever it is. This is TJ with Tech Made Easy. Have a great day. Thanks.